Hey guys, it's Matt here, and welcome to another episode of Keikaku Corner. So, if you guys are either first-time listeners or don't listen in that often or don't watch that often, you can tell the lights are dimmed down. The reason why is because it is the month of October, so we're trying to keep things very spooky in this establishment. Tristan is still digging for dinosaur bones up on the moon, so, sadly he can't be on this podcast, but I will be bringing on some other members of those guys' play and those guys on the radio onto the podcast, so we'll hear their thoughts on some different stories. We have a lot of fun stories here today. This one will be shorter than some of our earlier podcasts this season. The reason why is because due to some filming issues, due to some work being done next door, can't really do much about that, but you'll hear a lot of things in the background, probably even during this recording. That's cool, right? You have to do what you have to do, but I tried to work around it for as long as I could, but I just was unable to, so basically that caused me to split a podcast in half. I had a lot of fun stories to talk about, and I wanted to really talk about them, so this one will be shorter, but we'll still be talking about some really cool, fun stuff. The one thing that I want to mention, not so fun, another reason why things are a little bit delayed, my dog Ginger, lovely, beautiful dog, you're going to see her on the screen right now, she recently passed away, and so, the show must go on. We have to keep on doing what we have to keep on doing. But it's just, it hurts. She's 14, she was 14, and I loved her a lot. So, cheers to her. Love you so much, baby girl, but, it is what it is. So, let's move on to some good news, to some better news. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. Sorry if I bummed you guys out, but we have to get the bad news out of the way. Don't want to end this on a sour note. So, good news, however, the news that I'll be talking about on today's podcast, again, either by myself or with some other people coming on, we'll be talking about the Joker teaser, some stuff related to Death Note, but Death Note live action, but not Netflix live action. Interesting stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Some Phoenix Wright news, Pokemon Go stuff, some very fun stuff, some Attack on Titan merchandise. You might be able to get it in the US, but I think it might be Japan exclusive. Also some interesting manga that's being, some pastors are trying to ban it. Why? We'll talk about that a little bit later. And some stuff about Bowsette. But is there also like a Venom-et or something like that? Not exactly one-to-one, dear God, no, but something like that. Well, again, we'll talk about it in this podcast. So, first things first, though, let's jump right into the Joker teaser. So, and I'm not going to really talk about any of the leaked images. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but I will say that I think the leaked images have kind of, they made me feel not as hyped as one would think. You would think that these leaked stuff would make me feel like, oh my god, I really want to watch this. But just this teaser alone made me want to watch it because it's the Joker that I've always wanted to see. We've seen a Joker a bit like this, I think, with Mark Hamill, but that was animated, and as much as I appreciate Batman the Animated Series, I would love to see Mark Hamill as that kind of Joker on the big screen, but I wanted to see a kind of Joker that would be a mobster more so, or like a gangster, more so than an agent of chaos. Now, the reason why I talk about, and again, I'm not going to talk about what they were directly, but why I feel weird about some of the leaked images is because it seems like he's still going to be an agent of chaos, and I kind of want this movie to be more origin than be Joker being Joker, and I do worry that it's going to kind of blend those two a bit too much. I'm happy that this has nothing to do with any other Jokers that have ever come around. Nothing, don't hate on, I don't personally dislike, Cesar Romero. I don't, dislike Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger. And funnily enough, I just saw Leto. I just saw Suicide Squad. Never saw it before. I was like, you know what? Why not, right? I caught up on some Marvel movies that I hadn't seen. I was really behind on Marvel movies. And then I caught up with Marvel movies to try to watch Infinity War. Then I didn't get to see Infinity War, and so then I was behind with both Infinity War and with Ant-Man and the Wasp. So I caught up with those, and I was like, you know what? Let me try to see Suicide Squad. Let me try to see what this is all about. And then I did, and it was not as terrible as everyone was telling me, which was odd. Now, if someone says, oh, it deserved an award, I disagree. I do disagree, but it was not as bad as people were telling me, which was odd because when I saw Batman v Superman, I talked about it on the podcast, myself and Anthony Sanandris, and I think Funnily enough, I might have said the same thing. Although I feel like that one was, I don't know which one is worse. I think the problem with Suicide Squad was that it just felt like it didn't need to happen, which is frustrating because it wasn't necessarily not entertaining. Also, too many musical cues. It just felt like a giant music video, and I wasn't the biggest fan of that. But in the case of having Jared Leto be Joker, this is the kind of Joker, or in this case, of course, Joaquin Phoenix, I'm referring to this movie. Looking at the both of them, interestingly enough, I did not dislike Jared Leto's Joker as much as I thought. I appreciated that, he was a gangster, but he was a 2018 or 2016 at the time, but still, he was a modern day gangster. Like, you're not going to have him be dressing up like Al Capone if this is 2018. Now, in this case, of course, this is taking place, I believe, it's supposed to be taking place in the 70s, so you're not going to have him be Al Capone, of course, but I do want to see an older take on this character. I enjoyed the weird scene that we got. I hope it's not in the movie. I hope if it's in the movie, it's shot differently, or if it's shot this way, we know why. It's because it was shot in a very interesting way. This movie, it seems like it's trying to, and it might be completely different once I watch it, and once we all watch it, but it seems like it's trying to be indie, and I appreciate that. I know some people have issues because of the fact that it's not indie. We're using, Joaquin Phoenix, and it's Scorsese, and Scorsese is well known. Yes, he's not as mainstream as like a Disney, Marvel, Warner Brothers, but he's still very well known. So it's not necessarily an indie project. So I can understand where people are coming from if they're like, hey, we don't like fake indie. Like that movie, oh God, what was it? With Ryan Gosling. I forgot. Everyone loved it though, and people were upset because it was like, oh, you're getting him and I think it was Emma Stone to do jazz. Why don't and also they're very popular, both actor and actress. Why can't we just get lesser known actors to do that? That's not what they normally do. Like they're in bigger productions, and I do get it, but just looking at this though, I just want to see a Joker that's a bit more subdued. And I don't think we're going to get that looking at some of the, leaked stills and things like that, which is sad. But I do want a Joker. I really want like I'm doing stand-up before everything goes horribly wrong kind of Joker. And heck, even from this, after this teaser, that whole video with him and that clown, who I think is named Michael. I don't know, but like I'm trying to read his lips and I'm like, Michael, I'll give you your money. Like, that's what I'm seeing, and I'm like, so does he owe that guy money? Because I really don't know, because you would think he would have been a stand-up comedian, but it seems like perhaps he's actually going to be a clown, like, for hire. Again, this is meant to be its own thing, if you guys don't know that. It's meant to be its own thing. It's not meant to tie into any other continuity. I prefer that. I'm 100% okay with that. I've heard some rumors, though, that we're going to have a kind of mobster take on Bruce Wayne's dad, though. And even though there's no tie to any other continuity, I don't want that. Like, I don't want a version of Thomas Wayne that's, kind of more like a mobster. But at the same time, though, I do have to say, I'm still relatively hyped to see this movie. Even with what I, just mentioned, the whole, the production still is leaking, I still am really hyped to see this. And this teaser, especially the song that was used for it, I want to make sure I get the name of the song right, because it's been stuck in my head. Like, it's such a good song. Also, I believe it's a new song, because it sounds like, it's, let me see, The Guess Who, and it's by Todd Phillips. It seemed like a song that you would hear 40 years ago, but I could swear I looked it up and it was made just for the movie or with the movie in mind. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section down below, but I thought it sounded like something. I had a very older feel to it, and also the makeup. Some people have been saying some negative things about the makeup. Again, I'm okay with it because it's not. He's from the looks of it, he's not going to fall into a vat of chemicals with this movie. They're going with a much more realistic take. I would prefer Vat of Chemicals, but again, this doesn't have anything to do with any of the other movies that have ever existed, or even any TV shows or anything like that. You're not going to see this Joker on DC's streaming service or on Fox or anything like that. So he's not gonna show up on Arrow, right? He's not gonna do that. So they're not going to. Although, actually, I have to admit, it would be in true DC fashion. if they took this film that is not in continuity with anything else and tied it in because they owned the rights to it. It would be, God, that would be amazing. It would basically be the Killing Joke all over again. I'd love it. I'd love it. I'd hate it, but in a way, I'd be like, they actually just did that. Like they give Joker a kid an arrow. That'd be, God, that'd be horrific. But the point, though, is that I do wonder what this movie's going to be about. Don't spoil it down below if you do, if you've read some summaries and stuff like that. But if you want to make some real predictions or even fake predictions, like just say that, Spider-Man's going to show up, or this is the point when, I can see Hank Pym in the background. If you want to do that, totally, just go nuts. I'd love to hear your fake predictions. But when it comes to real predictions, don't spoil anything down below. Really don't want to see that, really don't want to have to clean that up. But I have high hopes for this, which is sad because usually when I have high hopes for something, I go into it with too much of a sense of being hyped and excitement, and then I'm disappointed. So, in a way, I think it's better when I come in with almost no expectations, which is probably why Suicide Squad entertained me, and Batman v Superman in some cases entertained me, but then completely just was really bad. But I still was kind of positive with that review. You can check that out on those guys on the radio channel. Joaquin Phoenix, that's what's really getting me. Like looking at him, Tristan Walter and I have talked about some of his movies because we did 12 Nights of Shyamalan during Halloween in July. So we talked about some of his films and we really appreciate his work. So even though there were some issues with some of the Shyamalan films that he was in, it was never, Joaquin Phoenix ruined that. So I do have high hopes for this because of him, I think. And of course, Scorsese, although he's not directing, he's producing. And De Niro and Baldwin, too. Like, I shouldn't put them down. I shouldn't be like, those two, De Niro, Baldwin, whatever. No, they definitely will bring something great to it. Even if I don't like this interpretation of Thomas Wayne, I do trust, I'm pretty sure it was going to be Baldwin doing that interpretation of Wayne. Even if I disagree with it, it would still be good because I don't see Baldwin as a bad actor. From what I've seen, I've enjoyed his work. So, yeah, we'll have to see, what comes of this. Tell me what you guys think of this teaser. And again, like I mentioned earlier, tell me any predictions you have about this movie in the comment section down below.